Hey, what's up guys? We're in the kitchen today. I'm going to be showing you what I do for my lunch. This is what I'm doing to drop a bit of body fat and stay lean. So if that's one of your goals, I'm going to show you what I eat. Here I live in Japan, so some of these ingredients might be a little bit different than what you can get back home. But if you go to like an Asian supermarket, I'm sure you can pick some of them up. Anyway, nothing too crazy. So let's have a look at what I'm going to be making. Everything can be made inside of a pressure cooker or a rice cooker. So I have a pressure cooker right here, and then I have my good old rice cooker right beside it. And I use both of them for cooking my meals. Just because it gets all the way through and very soft. So this is going to be a pre-workout meal. So I'm going to be doing some rice. So I do half a cup of brown, a little bit more than half maybe. Anyway, I didn't measure perfectly, but this is pre-washed brown rice. So let's put that into the pot. And I actually put a little bit more water than normal. So I put my water in right away. And for what's going in with the rice, so for protein, we're going to be doing some chicken. And lately I've been getting into some organ meats. So I think this is like gizzard. It's kind of cheap organ meat, but when it's cooked in a rice cooker, it comes out really soft. If you cook it in a frying pan, it's kind of rubbery. So let's put in, I don't know. I don't really measure, but I'll put 3 of those in. And then in Japan, chicken breast is actually, it comes in 2 different types. It comes in like this large piece, and it also comes in a smaller piece. So I'm going to do 2 of the smaller pieces. It's pretty lean. I'm just taking some of the fat off. But yeah, so 2 of those. Next, here's what's basically going in. So I have 1 carrot, some pumpkin chunks. So these are, I think, maybe Japanese pumpkin, but they also grow it in Mexico. 1 shiitake mushroom, a chunk of ginger, cabbage, and I'm just going to dump the cabbage in like this. It looks like kind of big pieces, but when it cooks, it kind of shrivels and it's totally fine. The pumpkin, I'm going to put in like that. The rest I'm going to chop. Alright, so now we have most of the veggies and the meat and the rice in there. And now we're going to add in a few other things. The first thing that I like to add in is fish flakes. Now you can buy fish flavored sauce, but I actually prefer these flakes because there's nothing added. There's no additives into the sauce, and it has a really strong kind of like a smoky flavor. Again, this is probably something you have to go to an Asian supermarket to find. But if you like the smell of smoky fish, kind of like a smoky salmon almost, then you might like these. So that's going to go in. In terms of actual other sauces and flavors, there's only 2 things I really use. First one, good old salt. So I don't know, I put in probably a pretty good amount actually. So that'll go in on top. And the next thing is soy sauce. The final thing that's going to go in here is a bit of seaweed. So these are, again, Asian supermarket. I don't do it for the taste because, you know, seaweed tastes like seaweed. Not always the best, but healthy. And I don't know. I basically just do it for vitamins. So that one's called hijiki. And the other one is wakame, which is often found in miso soup. So I just put a pinch in of both. And that's it. That's what it looks like. It doesn't look the best, but believe me, you eat this and it's fairly low calorie And you know, you can see like that's a pretty full pot of food. So I'm going to show you after it's cooked and you'll see what it looks like. Alright, so now that lunch is cooking in the rice cooker, I thought I would do just like a quick physique update. I don't know what body percent I'm at right now, but you know, abs are coming in. So, you know, relatively lean. I don't know, I might be at about 10 or something like that percent body fat. So not a lot that I want to lose, but you know, when I pinch, there's a little bit of fat that I could lose if I want to get a little bit more V taper. Anyway, summer's coming, right? So that's what the physique is looking like. We're gonna stick with the calorie deficit for a little bit while longer, keep up the body weight workouts. Anyways, I'll show you lunch when it's done. All right, it's time for lunch. So let's have a look and see what things look like in here. Not too bad. So kind of as expected, it just kind of looks like one pot mush. Don't worry, it's gonna taste good. That's always super hot on the fingers. Okay. So that's not even all of it. So it looks something like that. This is, you know, a pretty standard meal for me when I'm trying to cut. So sometimes I do brown rice, sometimes I do white rice. I mix up my veggies. You know, if you don't have seaweed and you don't have these kind of, you know, Japanese veggies, it doesn't really matter what you use. You know, just stick your protein in there. Not too much carbs, but you don't want to go zero carb if you're doing hard workouts. So you still want to have carbohydrate in there. And then, you know, just lots of, you know, micronutrients. And so I'm going to eat this right now. So we'll check in a bit. I thought I would show you guys more closely what the piece of organ meat looks like when it's cooked. So here's the remainder of my lunch. You know, it kind of has a weird shape. I don't know, a very mild flavor. Like it has, you know, a little bit stronger flavor than like a chicken breast. But I'm telling you guys, I mean, if you want to get your micronutrients and your vitamins and your minerals in, eat some organ meats. I mean, they're typically pretty cheap. I mean, they are in Japan. I don't know what they are back in, you know, a Western country. But you can get gizzards, you can get chicken hearts, you can get liver and that type of thing. All for pretty cheap. And, you know, just throw them in with your meal. You don't have to eat like a whole meal of them, but add them in almost like an accessory to your meal. And they're actually pretty good. So anyways, that's the remainder of the meal. So as you can see, I only made half a cup of rice, but I already got 2 bowls of food out of this. So, I mean, pretty good, pretty filling, and quite low calories. So, you know, mission accomplished. So it's time to make dinner. So I thought I would show you what I'm doing, which is almost the same as lunch, just that there's no rice. So it's just meat and veggies cooked in my rice cooker. Here we have the veggies that are going to be going in. So 1 small kind of onion, 1 very small potato, a chunk of ginger, 2 chunks of cabbage, some of these mushrooms, I think they're called enoki mushrooms. Any kind of mushrooms will work. Chicken breast, some of these gizzard things. Any kind of organ meat would be fine. So again, we're going to do the same as lunch. We'll put 3 of those in. Then the hijiki is going to go into. So hijiki is kind of a seaweed like this. It's very black. And then the other one is wakame. So again, these are, you know, often eaten in Japan in miso soup and that type of thing. So those will go in the rice cooker. Bit of water. Seasoning is the same as lunch. So a bit of salt. Big pinch of salt and soy sauce. Bunch of cabbage is going to go into. I even throw in some of this sort of stock. I don't really care. Actually, it tastes not that bad. So in Japan, these chicken breasts are kind of small. I don't know why we don't have them in the West. I don't really know how they get these very, very tiny chicken breasts. But today I'm going to, well, for this meal, I'm going to throw in 3 of these and 3 gizzards. Since I'm not going to have rice, I'll up the protein a little bit. So everything has been prepared. Like I said, this is not really fancy, but it's low calorie, it's pretty low carb, high protein, and actually it tastes pretty good, despite what it might look like. And as you can see, I leave big chunks of things in here because the rice cooker is going to cook it, so good that these onions will become kind of creamy, and everything's going to cook pretty good. So anyways, I'll throw that in the rice cooker. We'll show you when it's done. All right, so dinner is served. So that's what we got going on. So I know when you put seaweed in, it kind of looks weird. Some people might not like the taste of seaweed, or maybe even organ meat, I don't know. But for me, it's pretty darn good. And you can see I have a very full bowl. I don't know, that feels pretty heavy. I do have some liquid in there, so it's a little bit like a soup. But anyway, that's it. So again, there's no rice in here. It's just all veggies. 3 kind of mini chicken breasts, 3 gizzards, and that's it. This is probably going to be my last meal of the day. I might do a protein shake before bed. But anyway, that's it. So huge thanks for sticking around. And anyways, good luck with your weight loss gains. And we will see you in the next one. Peace.